welcome to my no-smell, indoor, Korean natural farming pig pen. There's some things about it you notice, like the pigs are raised up a little bit here. It's because below the wood chips, there's solid logs, and then below the logs, there's charcoal. And then in the wood chips, we inoculated labs bacteria, and the microbes eat away at the poop and urine smell, and the pigs feed the microbes. So I have two different things living here in symbiosis. Several things I like about it. A is, here, let me feed first, and I'll show you what I like about this. These pigs only need about 3 to 4 pounds of feed a day in this kind of system to maintain their weight. And it's just as simple as throwing in some scoops of feed. And since we were doing this tour this morning, I did not feed them breakfast so we could show this. And you can tell how they're a little hungry, but that's okay. So now this little boar is 75% duroc and 25% mangalitsa. And I'm doing some breeding with him with some of the pigs to see what that turns out like. But I'm really excited about the way he's turning out. In the pen, you can see across there, they're running by, is a pressurized water line. And that is well water that comes up on that nipple, and they can bite down on the metal nipple and drink all the fresh water they want to. And so, yeah, there we go. Gonna get a little drink of water. Because it's raised up and there's logs below it, the drainage just goes out the barn and doesn't get all of the bedding wet and through there. A benefit of taking the time and energy to build a pen like this is that we just fed pigs, and it took a minute or less from the time you get here. And because I know how many pigs are in here, I know how many pounds are in a scoop, it's easy for me to tell someone else how to feed my pigs of, you know, half a scoop per pig in the morning and evening.
He's got camper hookups, you know, where people can rent and stay on the farm. So if you want to come visit Blake and stay at his farm, you can. And, you know, typically you think of pig as such a stinky animal that you wouldn't be able to live right next to pigs, but do your customers ever complain? I mean,
so with the RVs, a lot of my RVs come through a website called Harvest Host, and it's RVers that pay a membership, and they get a free place to stay for the night as they're traveling. Most RVs are just one-night stays, and they're traveling through. And what they do is they agree to buy at least $20 worth of my farm product for the stay. And most of them average 60 to 80 and farm product sales. So it's like a farmer's market that comes to me, and I don't have to pack up my stuff and go to a farmer's market. But that's been so successful that that one spot has generated enough to convince me to take down this barn right here. This is a commercial chicken barn. It's 40 by 500, so it's a 20,000 square foot barn. There's nothing wrong with it as a barn, but ultimately, it started to not fit my vision of how I wanted people to be able to enjoy the farm. And so we're going to put in 6 or 7 RV full hookups there that I would hope to be monthly rentals for people that want to come and spend a month at the farm in their RV. Oh, we got to feed the little pig.
what is that? Why is that one all by itself?
Okay, this one, it's all by itself because I lost a pig. That's what happened. They were 11 weeks old. I was getting ready to sell 10 of them to a returning customer, and I had 2 pigs left over. And I went away for a night, and I came back, and there was only 1 pig left over, right? And so luckily I didn't sell all of them. I was keeping 2 for myself, for our family. So there's 1 pig by itself here now because that's going to be our family pig. And he's been weaned off. There you go. He gets a little more food than everybody else.
He's growing.
And so this is what I call my weaning pen. Whenever pigs have babies, you want to be able to get those babies away from the mamas without you getting eat up like that sound we just heard.
Yeah.
And so I built this pen so I can take down these level of boards here, and I can start creep feeding the babies in this pen, and they learn to start coming through in the mornings. And then to separate them, it's just as easy as feed down there, come up here, close that off with some screws, and now all the babies are separated out.
And then when you sell them out of this thing.
Yeah, when I sell them out of this thing, and they're easy to catch up by the back leg and load them into crates from here. My first experience with pigs with babies, none of this was here. The pig was out in the green area back there in electric netting, and it was Carolina. It was this big pig right here.
And she's been with you a long time, hasn't she?
She's been with me a long time. Yeah, yeah. So she was laying out there with her babies nursing, and I had a 10 by 10 dog pen set up in here that I was going to get the babies and put them in there and like wean them off. And so I see her laying down, all these babies are just nursing, no one's paying attention. I'm like, ooh, I can get one or two. So I grabbed 2 pigs up and jumped back over the fence, and I'm thinking, I got this made. I got 2 pigs squealing. She's in that electric netting. Yeah, she didn't stop. All she did is come to me with that mouth wide open going, ah.
Oh, God.
So I get into the pen. Like I run into the dog pen after dropping the babies, and I have to close the door and let her calm down, and she's walking around the thing to like, she finally just hops back over and goes back to the rest of them. But whew, that encouraged me to buy or to invest in more time of how to set up the structure to get piglets away from the babies or mamas in a good fashion.
That's why breeding, you don't recommend breeding for everybody.
No, not at all. You know,
especially your first time.
Well, pigs can be super dangerous whenever you get complacent about it. Like I could get in this pen just fine now. I don't have a concern about it, but I probably would carry a stick with me, like just in case, you know, but I can rub on all these pigs. But about 4 years ago, I had a mangalitsa boar, and I had 6 of his other mangalitsa females, and I was hoping to breed those together. And one day I was down and I was going to feed him, and I had my girlfriend's son with me. He was 20 at the time. And I was showing him the pigs, and I was like, oh, look, this pig likes to be rubbed. And so I was rubbing his ears right there at the electric fence. And he relaxed and he relaxed and he relaxed so much that his nose touched the electric fence, and he got hammered. Yeah. And I was like, oh, he's probably gonna be mad about that. Anyway, let me go feed. And I had a routine, just hop over the fence, drop the feed. The pigs just ate, that's all there was to it. Well, this day that boar decided I had shocked him and he was gonna get me back. And he came around behind the rest of them as they were eating and ran up. And I thought he tried to bite me, but he actually stuck his tusk up the back of my leg, right at the knee.
Oh my gosh.
And it ended up with 12 external stitches and 5 internal stitches. And I won the award that night at the ER, like, sir, why are you here? Well, a boar tusk went up my leg. Oh. When I got back, people were like, are you gonna take care of him? I'm like, oh, he's probably worth $1,500. I know he did it, but it's my fault. And about 2 months later, he had been in with those pigs for 6 months, and I had no babies. None of them were looking pregnant. He got outside the fence and wouldn't go in, and Mom and I weren't gonna get too close to him at this time. Yeah. I was trying to entice him in with food. He had eaten enough for the day. And I decided either you're gonna take this food or I'm gonna get a bullet. Yeah. And he did not take the food. And so I ended up taking that tusk out of him. And so this is the tusk that went up the back of my leg and made a necklace out of it.
No, it's a great memory.
That's right, that's right. Don't do that, kids.
Yeah, so that's the dangers of pigs, man. It's crazy.
If you would like a boar tusk, I have several more I'm making into jewelry.
Oh, now we're talking.
Yeah.
Need my own.
One of the things that I get around here is food that goes to food banks, but it sort of goes bad on them. Like there's a little bit of mold on that, so they can't put that out. And they are gracious and nice enough to come bring it to me. I do get asked often about what I feed the pigs, and finding a food source that's affordable and close and all these things is a very big challenge for a lot of people. And for a while I was able to source bulk feed from a local non-GMO plant, and they did a great job for me. They'd even custom blend. For a while I was just going wheat and barley, and you got to be very specific on what types of those you feed to the pigs for them to like it. And it worked great, but I could not figure out how to keep the rats out of the bulk feed. I mean, it just became, I think they were eating 300 pounds of every 2,000. And so my local feed store was carrying a brand of food that I'd kept on hearing, oh, it's non-GMO. And I prefer organic, but the organic food has to come all the way from Kentucky on special trips.
Right.
And this non-GMO is coming here just regular order. And so that's what Tucker Miller non-GMO is their main base. And then fruits and vegetables from around help supplement the pigs. If we're talking about what I think is ideal though, right? There's the way you do things and the way that you think they could be done. And in my sort of searching for what makes a successful farm or homestead, specifically homesteading things where you're doing multiple animals, there's multiple things, I'm missing a key center pin to that. Like a linchpin would be an animal that you're milking. I just can't get around the idea of I need to have, for me, 2 or 3 cows, just 2 or 3, so that there's always 1 or 2 milking. 1 or 2 milk cows would make a big difference in what I could do around here with that product that the cows are taking grass, turn it into a product that I could turn the cream into butter and make a product that we could sell at the farm out of all the cream and just sell cream. But the whey could be going to my pigs and fattening my pigs in a product that I'm not having to buy.
Yeah.
And so as soon as I can take down a few more chicken barns and get a place for an intern to be here, and I can get an intern to be able to milk a cow, I would love to have a couple of milk cows for that. If you don't have land for milk cows, just some nice goats. Goats give good milk too. But it does seem like for this system to be more complete and more profitable, milk is going to have to be a part of that in the future.
And if you have grass most of the year, you're not paying for that.
That's right,
It's just the labor of milking. So.
Just the labor of milking. And I don't know that I'm ready to sign up for a milk. My great-grandmother did it, you know, every morning. I got so much other stuff to try to manage now. I'm just waiting for an intern that wants to learn some real good skills.
Well, contact Blake, everybody.
That's right. Okay, welcome to the Pig Palace. This is a 20,000 square foot chicken barn that I've made my 4th version of Korean natural farming pig pen in. Don't mind the spider webs, they're around. But what we're walking past is my stored wood chips. The Korean natural farming pen takes a substantial amount of wood chips to maintain and keep the no smell going. In the past, there was a time where I ran out of wood chips to add to, and they all start disintegrating and they get down to the logs, and they're going to eat the logs as well, like just pigs, curious. And then my guys show back up. Now, when I say my guys, 3.5 years ago, I searched out the road crew that was parked locally to clear the roads, the trucks. And this search is several days long, where you got to find out where they're parking at night, go leave notes on windows with your address and your phone number. Please bring wood chips, have big area. And they did show up, and then all of a sudden they realized that I had a concrete pad out there that they could pour these things on. So they loaded me up all I could stand on that. And it did last me about a year, but then they're on 3-year cycles, I thought. And so I'm like, whoa, I've got to source wood chips. And like the best you can do is 75 or $100 per load, and that's the delivery fee. That's finding free wood chips. And then all of a sudden, the magic truck showed back up one day. I was like, hey, guys. And they said, you want more chips? Yes, I do. And then I'd already shut off the chicken farm operation. The commercial birds were gone. And so I showed them this barn. I said, can you dump them in front of this barn and I'll push them in? They said, yeah, easy. How many you want? I said, I want to fill the barn up. Fill the barn up? They looked down. Okay. And the wood chips started showing up. Some days they were bringing 2 loads a day here. And I just get my 25 horsepower little Kubota tractor, and it takes a few rounds. You got to get from the sides before you can push everything in. And started storing chips in here. And then those are green chips, and I really need them dry, and that creates a lot of moisture. And so I'd spread them out on one side at first and give them about 2 weeks, and then move the wood chips that got some air going in there. And then over time, they would compact down as they, dried out, and I would reshuffle stuff around. Sometimes I'd have to get a bigger tractor just to move more of it down. But I feel like now they brought me enough wood chips for the next 4 years.
Wow.
So I have like an abundance loaded up. The other way that I like to look at that is somehow I had a crew of 7 people that had $300,000 worth of equipment, and they were working all day to bring me wood chips that I didn't have to pay for.
That's pretty cool.
And so that worked out. But I just made good friends. I made friends with them. I do like to provide them with sausage every now and then, pack of ham, something specialty from the farm. They would like to spend their lunch down here sometimes so they could play soccer in my big yard. No problem. Keep on bringing wood chips. Yeah. Initial plan with having pigs in here is that the sows would have babies in here, and when those babies were weaned off, sows would go to the woods after they were bred and spend about 3 months in the woods and then come back to the barn. I think that would be ideal, but I've come to realize that I don't have the infrastructure in place to safely keep pigs out in the woods and have cows grazing and sheep and all that. And so right now the plan is that they would be in here the whole time, which is, it's a confinement, but it's not really like the typical confinement. They got wood chips to move around with their nose. They make beddings. They get fresh bedding every week put on top. It's a nice system to be able to manage a pig operation.
It is. Yeah, it's a really cool combination of living floor systems, but it's more closer to commercial in some ways. Way less pigs though than a commercial barn would have, right?
Oh yeah.
They would be jamming.
And again, like we're in here and you can't smell.
I don't smell
pigs.
anything.
Look now, Rambo. Oh gosh, the spiders came back. Yeah, pig. Rambo likes to eat from the bucket. Yeah, buddy, get you some. So now I moved him in here last week to breed these 4 sows.
So I thought this is really cool that Blake set up. It's like a little chute system. So when he's got to move Rambo or any pigs in and out, he can move them here, and then he's got a gate that he can close them in and kind of control things in a safer way.
So the doorway for this, I've tried different things, and a young man came up here and said, Mr. Blake, if you just use pallets, you could control that a lot better. And I was like, that's the simplest idea. The doorway is just wide enough for a pallet to back up to it. And then when I want to load those pigs onto a trailer down that way, I just take this pallet up and I move it right here, and I put the trailer at the end of the alleyway, and the only thing the pigs can do is go out into the trailer. Or when I wanted to move Rambo from the other pen down there to here, I set it this way, went and opened up that door, separated him out. He came down the alleyway, and the only thing he could do was go into there.
Yeah.
And so this is a system that I designed based off of the Mennonites around here and going to look at their barns and seeing an alleyway run. So it's in the middle of the chicken house, sort of on the side, and it gives me enough room to take my little tractor and get a scoop of wood chips and then bring it and dump it over the top of the pen to add more wood chips in with a tractor. In this barn, I started building out K&F pig pens in a different style than what I started with out there. Out there, they're in one big pen, and I have to use gates to separate them. And it just causes some issues. It was hard to do. So building in here, I use the same principle as I did in that pen. Charcoal, logs, wood chips, microbes. But this pen is 16 by 16. I chose that because that's the length of cattle panels, and it made it easy to build. And as we were building it up, I put a post in the very center of it. And I'll be honest with you, this was just not that intentional for what it come to use for, but notice it does a couple things. Having a pen in the middle, it gives those pigs something to scratch on. They rub on it all the time. But as I got a doorway over here that I need to get pigs to, I can bring in just a few panels, or I use a lot of styrofoam board something for them to see. I can set it here and then just walk the pigs around this way and they go right out the door. And so by having something in the center as a pivot, it's made moving the pigs much easier. And then the water nipples work so well for me out there that I had water in the chicken house, so I put up a new water line with T-valves going down to each one of them in case they did break them, I could shut them off. What I found out is that if I put a water nipple down here and I connect something underneath it to protect it so they can't push down on it and they can't push sideways, then these nipples have lasted for over a year in here. I'm protecting them with a 2-inch PVC with ties that go around it that secure it to the fence. And so they can't,
half-inch on the
then yeah, movable half-inch pipe up there.
Ah, that's really smart.
And so each pen has a drop for that. So all the pigs have water. And again, this just makes feeding the pigs, walking through here with a bucket and a scoop, tossing however many scoops in per pig, and you're done for the day. And so this is gonna be my future design for my pig palace. I do call it a palace because of the chandelier that's in here. But I plan on having 6 to 8 of these with 2 sows each. And then every month I'll just rotate Rambo to a new pen. And then by the time they're having babies, he'll be out of the pen to the next one down. And they'll be able to use the run to create a place down here for the babies to be able to get away from mamas, but go down and feed on their own. And so I'll have me a weaning pen at the end of this barn that all the piglets will be able to go to. That's giving me pigs year round.
Yeah.
You know, in this pig business, at first I thought that's what I should do, but then it's very hard to sell regular pigs past July. People are looking for a pig to grow for the year and be done with it, which is ideal. But as I got into specialty pigs, I just have a reservation list now of people that are wanting piglets. And I'm not great at being a pig farmer. I just get to experiment a lot. And so trying to figure out this breeding cycle has taken me with a breeding cycle with a K&F pig pen in a barn that can be moved, that I'm having to design sort of by myself, but with ideas from other things. It's taken a long time to get up to there, but now that they're starting to be built out, I can start seeing the cash flow on a more regular basis.